Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Thursday. Okay, so I'm starting inside, but I'm probably gonna have to finish the vlog outside. And I just checked outside, I went and got the mail. It is very, very cold. But Alex, and my neighbor's dog is going crazy outside, so there must be like squirrels or something out there. But Alex has a long Zoom meeting tonight that starts at 6. But at 5:30, he has to be sitting over there getting set up for it because it's a meeting that he's leading. And so he'll be talking the whole time. So I can't film the vlog here, obviously, because he'd be right behind me with his meeting. I can't film the vlog in the bedroom because I'll be talking and he's down here leading this meeting, which leaves me either the bedroom or the bathroom down here or the bathroom down here or the bathroom upstairs. And I don't really want to do a vlog in the bathroom. I could sit up against the door in the basement and then let you guys finally into the basement. I could do that. I might do that. We'll see. But I went outside and I was like, okay, if I bundle up, if I put my boots on and I put my coat on, maybe even the heated vest, I think I could probably do maybe a half an hour out here in the cold, sit out here and film. So that I'm trying to figure out in my head. Alex is on his way home right now. So when he gets home, I'm going to stop vlogging and then I will figure out where to go from there. But I wanted to start at least inside. So happy Thursday. How are you guys doing? And then tomorrow, he's been going crazy outside for like the last half an hour. When I say that, he stops. But anyway, tomorrow I have a hair appointment, which I thought was at noon, but it's actually at 10:30. And so I'm gonna go to my hair appointment, and then when I come home, I'm probably gonna film a bunch of videos because, again, I didn't get as many videos filmed as I wanted to today because my drama video, which I thought was going to be like 20 or 30 minutes, ended up being 59 minutes. And ended up being 59 minutes. And then I did my Fox Hollow reaction, which ended up being like 39 minutes. And so in between like coming down here and putting pictures into it and rendering it and all that kind of stuff, before I knew it, the day had gotten away from me. And now it is currently, let's see what time it is. It is currently 5:03 p.m. And so, yeah, when Alex gets home, he's gonna want to start setting up for his meeting. So that will probably be, I mean, he should probably be home in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So this part of the vlog will be very short. And then I was like, maybe I'll take a walk around the neighborhood and we'll kind of like look at nature and stuff. But I always get real distracted when I'm doing that. So anyway, it's been a good day today. Last night, what did we watch last night? Did we watch anything last night? What was last night? Wednesday? Why can't I remember last night? Oh, he watched Love Island. I think he asked me, he was like, I don't even remember. Oh, I know now. He was watching The Valley. So I had watched The Valley, the first season of The Valley. I watched the first season months ago when it came out. And so the second season is about to come out. So The Valley, if you don't know, is a spinoff to Vanderpump Rules. And it's got like Jax Taylor and Brittany, his wife, that they're now getting divorced. And Kristen Doty, and it's got some other people in it. Supposedly Sheena Shea and Walla Kent are going to be in the next season of it, possibly. They were like in a couple episodes, I mean, just briefly, a couple episodes of this season of it. But anyway, I started it and did not like The Valley, but then I ended up really, really liking The Valley. And so I was telling Alex that, I was like, you either need to watch Southern Hospitality or The Valley because they're both really good. So he's watching The Valley. He is just not into it at all. I think he said last night when he got done, because he finished Love Island last night. Oh, that's what happened. So we were sitting down here and I was watching The Valley with him and I was just kind of like rolling through my phone, texting people and stuff like that. And he just is over it. He's like, I'm not invested in these people. I don't care about the show. I don't care about these people at all. And so we watched like 2.5 episodes and then finally I was like, I'm going to go upstairs. And when I went upstairs, who am I getting a text from? When I went upstairs, he watched the last episode of Love Island, which I guess was like the finale. And then he watched another episode of The Valley, and then he came upstairs when I was waking up. So that was last night. I did just make some coffee, my very first cup of coffee for the day. Nothing exciting over here. I don't even have any candles because, I know, no candles. We'll do that tomorrow. I don't have any candles because I didn't think I was going to be vlogging here for very long. My plan was to get started vlogging at about 4:15. That way I could go to like 5:30 and have like an hour and 15-minute vlog. And then when he was in his meeting, I just would have like everything up and ready to go. Unfortunately, that's not how my day went today. So my day went a lot longer than I thought it was. But I just made... we are down to, and then there were 3. And then there were 3 of the eggplant. I keep on saying eggplant. The eggnog. And then there were 3 eggnog K-Pods. So... This is my favorite coffee cup right now that says sober since 1994 on it. And this is the eggnog coffee. So cheers to that. No candles. And let's do a temperature check, shall we? I have no idea how cold it is outside. It's supposed to be really, really cold today. Indianapolis, here it pulls up bright weather. It's 21 degrees, so I will be vlogging outside in 21 degree weather. 21 degrees, and let's see what the weather is supposed to be like tonight. You know what I need to do? I didn't even start doing this before I started vlogging because I was getting all these text messages. Well, you know what? I'll wait until... Oh, it's supposed to get down to 10 degrees tonight. Mostly clear this evening, then becoming mostly cloudy after midnight. Very cold. Low around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 30, 35, 43. Oh my God, Monday, 53 degrees. Be nice. Then Tuesday, 49. Wednesday, 52. 43, 44, 46, 37. We should just look up some random city. We should just look up some random city and see what the temperature is like over there. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what, I took a nap last night. I took a really, really good nap last night. And then when I got up, I was texting Nikki. And she was kind of getting settled and stuff like that. And so I came downstairs and I lit like all the candles and all that kind of stuff. And I read like 4 chapters, 4 or 5, I think 5 chapters maybe, of The Comfort of Crows. I just love that book so much. I have less than 100 pages left of it. I'll probably finish it the next couple days. I just love that book so much. Like that will, I think, be my #1 recommendation of 2025. But like I was talking to Nikki last night about it, and I was like, oh my God, I just love this book so much. And, but it isn't, like she said, is it a thriller? I was like, no, I mean, it's not a book that, it isn't for everybody. I just don't think that everybody would love this book. I actually think if I had read it 10 years ago, I wouldn't have probably loved this book. I think it has a lot to do with where I'm at in life and where I'm at this age and looking at things and whatever. It's a very sentimental book. Like, for example, one of the chapters that I read last night, so it starts off being very much about nature, but then it goes into, and like every chapter is really like, her talking about like, this one chapter she talks about like garden snakes and crows, and that like garden snakes feed off of these, garter snakes, sorry. They feed off of these, I heard you guys, I heard you guys through the camera, not garden snakes, garter snakes. They feed off these berries, and then she's like, talking about all this kind of stuff, but then she's really talking about like in this world, in society, like who are the vultures, who are the crows. And then another part, she's talking about how her grandma used to send them out to go pick some berries, and she'd say, be careful of the rattlesnakes. And she's like, my grandma would never have like sent us out if she really thought that we were going to get like bit by a rattlesnake or stung by a rattlesnake. And so she's like, you know, we don't worry about rattlesnakes today, and we're so overprotective. A lot of it's about like parenting, raising a family. Then the one chapter that I read, she's talking about this bluebird nest outside her house. And she's talking about the parents like bringing worms and making the nest, and she compares it to like, she sees like when her teenage sons, like they're now like adults, but when they were teenagers, they would stand in front of the refrigerator and they'd say, there's nothing to eat. And she'd say, we have like $400 worth of groceries in the fridge. And they'd be like, is there anything that's already cooked? And she's like, that's how like these bluebird babies, like, because they don't know how to eat or cook for themselves yet and stuff. And she like compares, like, she talks about like how they made the room for her firstborn son, and this paper mache stuff that they did with these fish, and then he helped do the bedroom for their last son. She has 3 sons, and that they put like the stars in the ceilings. And so after all the 3 sons move out, it's after like the lockdown, and so they move home. 2 of them move home, and then they all move out. And so she's like, it's just her and her husband. So they have like contractors come in and like repaint it. And she's like, they're repainting all the rooms, and her husband picks out one for his office because he's getting ready to retire. But then she says to one of the painters, but don't remove the stars from the ceiling in this one bedroom. And so she wants to starve there forever because it reminds her of like her first son that was born and stuff like that. It's very sentimental. And that one, she's talking a lot about like what's left behind and things like that. It's just such a fantastic book. So then when I finished the Raymond Carver book, I picked up the Jill McCorkle book, which is called Crash Diet. And it's a book of short stories. I looked last night. It came out because I was reading part of it to Nikki because this part was so hilarious. And it came out in 1992. I got that book, I think, when it first came out. So I've had that book since 1992. And never have read all the short stories all the way through it. I've only read like the first one, which is called Crash Diet. And so the second one's called Man Eater. And I read that last night. And it's a short story about this woman that's divorced, and she goes through and talks about like all the different kinds of men that there are. I mean, it's somewhat dated a little bit, but she's got this stepsister and stepmother, and her stepmother she calls Mama Two because her mom passed away, and then her dad married this woman that she calls Mama Two, and then her dad passed away, and so Mama Two, like, dates this guy that, like, you know, has the shirt wide open and shows tons of chest hair. And she's like, if he could perm it, he would. And she's, I mean, it's just hilarious. But she's talking about, like, men and, like, what she's looking for. And then she talks about she was in this band when she was, like, in college. And it was, like, her and 3 girls. But then, it, like, this rumor was put out that they were, like, lesbians. And she's like, and we weren't. She's like, and not that there's anything wrong with lesbians, but we weren't lesbians. And she's like... So it was just me and this one girl who was like this drug addict, and she was like, she would take too much LSD, and then it was like us on a stage at a coffee house blowing in the wind to her like cowbell. It was hilarious. And she's like, she's the only one, because the one girl was like her fiance was at Vanderbilt, and the other girl was like supposed to inherit her dad's olive company, and they were like afraid that if they were like seen as lesbians, I mean, this is very telling at the time too, that like neither one of those things would happen. And the narrator of their story is kind of like, well, F them, why do you care if they think you're lesbians or not? And but it's mostly about her relationship with her stepmother and her stepsister, whose name is Lorraine, and that like how you change to be in a it's really about like how you change to be somebody that you're not in a relationship because you want to keep this person that you got, and you got him under false pretenses. And she talks about how when she was married, like her husband married her, but then he didn't really like who she was, so he tried to change her into who she is. This not so true of some relationships. And so like, I mean, I've been in these relationships in the past, you know. I think that's one thing like about Alex and I is that like, we accept each other where we're at. Like, we don't ever try to change each other. I mean, I'm not talking about, like, listen to me more, be respectful. I mean, we have those kind of conversations. I'm talking about, like, when you fundamentally try to change somebody, who they are, their belief systems, what they like, their interests, and things like that. I feel like I've only learned from my husband, and he says the same thing. Like, I've introduced him to music, movies, things like that he would never have listened to or watched, and vice versa. And so she goes in and talks about how her ex-husband that she was married to, that like when he like loved her, when he fell in love with her, but then as soon as they got married, he tried to change her into somebody that she wasn't, and tried to change like fundamentally who she was and what her interests were. And she's like, you never really fell in love with who I was anyway, because you wanted to change me into this idea of who I was. So that's what the whole short story is about. So I read that short story last night, and then talked to Nikki, and then she wanted to listen to a little of her audiobook. I wanted to listen to a little bit of Drinking a Love Story. So we did this puzzle, and the puzzle was... So okay, when I talk about these puzzles being like 100, 144 pieces, the one we did last night was 225 pieces. Those don't sound like long, like big puzzles, but we're not doing them over days. We're doing them like in a half an hour. So we're trying to like, the idea is to see how quick you can do them. So last night we had like one puzzle we had saved, and it was 225 pieces. And she was like, oh, it's a big one. So we did that. She went to bed afterwards. I listened to like an hour of Drinking a Love Story. It's interesting. It's not how I remember it. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy it. But she goes in a lot and talks about like the family history of alcoholism, which I think is so important that we don't talk a lot about it. But she's a reporter and she's a writer, and so she talks very much about the world of like journalism and writing and going to a bar afterwards. The stuff that I remember about it is the stuff that happened like right at the beginning of the book, where she's talking about she must talk about it later too. She just references being sober. She'll talk about, like, I got sober like a year ago, but it goes back and forth a lot. I mean, her storytelling is very similar to mine. It's, like, kind of all over the place. It's funny because, like, as I'm thinking about things she said, I'm thinking about pieces of the puzzle that that I was doing last night. It was this hard one. Had like apples and limes and couscous and hummus, and it was like all these plates and stuff. It was hard. Anyway. Oh, I hear Alex coming inside. Well, this is actually a good place to stop. So he's coming inside, and then I will figure out where I'm going. This might be a shorter vlog today, because I mean, I did outside all last year, but I'm gonna bundle up and go outside, and I will finish this vlog, and I will be back. Well, it'll be longer than 2 and 2, but for you, it will be 2 and 2. Okay, I'm back in my aloe coat. My aloe coat that is so huge that I can just, goodbye, goodbye, Howard. That's gonna be my thumbnail. My aloe coat that's so big that when I sit down, it like comes way up here. So yeah, okay, Alex is in his meeting now. He actually told me, he said, once I get this stuff started and I'm like 15 or 20 minutes into it, he was like, I just kind of sit back and everybody else talks. He was like, so if you want to come inside, he's like, I can just text you, but I'm uploading a video on my phone, which is inside in the kitchen. I said, you know what, I'll just sit outside. It's fine, it's refreshing outside. So I'm gonna sit outside and finish this vlog. I actually thought that I would vlog for a while, and then I thought maybe we could take a little bit of a walk and I could show you guys the winter wonderland. It's actually very, very pretty. Let me show you. It's a sunny day today, and so it's really, really pretty in Indianapolis. This is what winter in Indiana looks like out our front window. So I thought that maybe we would, I haven't walked over to the lake, so I thought that I would walk over to the lake and see the snow and back there and see that area and see the nature and the birds that are out and stuff like that. You know what's interesting is, okay, so I haven't been putting like bird feed and squirrel feed out, and one of the chapters that I was reading last night in The Comfort of Crows, she was talking about how in the summer she doesn't typically put bird feed. She does everything like very much like according to nature. Like this one part she's talking about, well, let me just get to what I was going to say first of all before I forget that, and then I never get back to that. So she says in there that she doesn't typically in the summer, spring and summer, she doesn't put like bird feed out or like squirrel feed and things like that, or food for like the animals, because she's like nature provides for them in the spring and summer. She's like, she does that in the winter and the fall, because in the winter there's not like, that's why she has a bath, a bird bath for her birds. That's like, it warms the water, like not like boiling, but it warms it up enough that they like can, you know, float in it. She has a couple of them. They can float in it. And she said like one of the things is that there's not a lot of water for birds in the winter time and other animals. And so like a lot of other animals will come and drink from the heated bird bath. I just love all this stuff about her. And so I did actually bring my coffee out here, so it's kind of lukewarm at this point, but so anyway, she's talking about how in the wintertime is when she puts out the bird feed and the squirrel feed and stuff like that. Well, last year, if you guys remember, in the winter, or the summer, I bought like all this stuff. I think it was at Target. I got it on sale. It was like strawberries to grow. Do you guys remember I bought all those planter things and then I never ended up doing them? Like I never ended up putting the tables together. Those are still in big boxes in the garage. So this spring, I might buy some more of them. The reason I got reminded of this is that when Caroline and I were at Target yesterday, they already have their spring and summer stuff out. So we went through the whole section of the spring and summer stuff. Caroline was like, oh, I have this little wicker table, but I ordered some, she ordered glass with wicker table. I go, Caroline, the table's already, like, it was like $85. I go, that table is not worth $85. She's like, well, I love this table. And she's like, and I ordered glass to get cut. And she ordered glass to get cut the right size for it. She's so like her mom. Anyway. So, but I was like going through and I was like, for the back patio, I want to make the back patio really nice. And so she was looking through these rugs. I'm always like, I don't necessarily want to get a rug, because one year we had a rug on the back patio and it just stayed wet like the whole summer from rain. And so even like on a dry day, it wasn't like super nice. I have to get one that's kind of thin or that dries out quickly. Because I can remember it just was damp like the whole summer. But anyway, so Caroline like found some rugs. She's like, oh, we're gonna make the patio really nice, the back patio. So I'm gonna get stuff to make the back patio. But they had these like kits where you can like, some of them for kids, some of them for adults, but like where you can like grow strawberries and you can grow herbs. I did it a couple, like 5 years ago. But last summer, do you guys remember? It's like a basket. It's like you grow strawberries in it. Well, I bought all that stuff. It's still in the garage. I never started growing it. So I saw it at Target yesterday and I was like, oh my God, I have like 4 or 5 of those things. Like this spring, I'm doing doing it. Because I was telling Caroline yesterday that I want to get wildflower seed like her mom did for our woods that I was growing up in. And so I want to get it and do it. And you're supposed to do it at the end of March, beginning of April. So when that time comes, I'm going to get some seed, like wildflower seed, and put it in the woods. And so I was like, I want to grow all kinds of stuff. I'm really excited about growing stuff this summer. This book has it's completely changed my perspective. But anyway, I was thinking about how it was like 6 months or a year ago, I bought more like squirrel food, bird seed, stuff like that, and never like put it out there. And so I have it in the garage. I think that one of the bags that we had out there, like a year ago, like a mouse got into it or something like that, because it had like holes in it, like was punctured. So fed the mouse through the winter. So anyway, one day I was in the garage. Alex wasn't here. Because, like, the bottom of our garage door, like, there's, like, this little area. It's, like, this little, like, you know, where it's, like, the sealant on the bottom of the garage door that, you know, our garage is always freezing cold or hot in the summer. And so I was in the garage and I heard something and I looked to the right and there was, like, this little mouse and it, like, went through that thing. So I think, like, mice in the winter might come and stay in our garage or something like that. I don't know. I hope they have a nice little warm place to stay during the winter. But anyway, so that was probably the mouse and his family that were eating from the bird seed, which is totally fine. I hope that you know, it fed them through the winter. I kind of like the idea of a little mouse family that was living in our garage through the winter, as long as they don't want to stay there, you know, all the time. But anyway, so that they stayed there and just fed off the bird seed that I had that I never put out. But I was thinking about it yesterday because I was like, you know, it's really cold. I really want to get a bird bath, but I don't know where I would put it right here on the back patio right now. So I was like, I'll wait till next year, and then maybe next fall and winter I'll get a, I just looked up like where Fernalicious is. Fernalicious is doing good. Fernalicious is actually doing better this year, and Farrah is the one that's kind of, she's struggling. She's doing okay, but she's still struggling. I can't wait to bring them out here this year. So, see, the whole conversation's different when I'm sitting on the front porch, isn't it? Versus when I'm sitting in front of the computer. It's completely different things I'm talking about. But anyway, so I was like, I need to bring out that bird seed and that squirrel food and put it, like, I brought the, I did put a couple of those out there. The corn and like the cob things, like the dried up corn on the cob that the squirrels eat. The thing before is that when I would put bird feeders out there on the back patio, not the ones where you feel like the seed, but I'm talking about like the pellets. What are those called? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? One night I put like 4 of those out there. Well, something knocked it over and like took all of them out. It was like some bigger animal. And we have rabbits that are underneath our patio back there. So I don't think any of like the birds or the squirrels got any of that food. What are those called? They're not like, they're like little tablet kind of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, they're like that, you know. But anyway, I put like 4 of them in there, like on all sides of this house that I have. And the next morning it was knocked over and all the food things were gone. So some animals must have come. They were like, oh my God, we got a buffet, you know. But the way that, like, I'm reading this from her, I'm just kind of like, well, that's the way of nature. If they take it, they take it. You know, put it out there anyway for, like, at least one animal, you know, made it through the winter with some food. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start putting some of that out there. But I didn't even think about that. You know, I always put the food out there in the summer and in the spring when it's convenient for me, you know, to go out there. I mean, it's like I don't love to go out there when it's cold and stuff like that, obviously. But, you know, when it's cold is when they need the food. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start putting the bird feed out there and the squirrel feed and stuff. But one part that she talks about, it's been a long time since I've read a book that has really impacted me on this level, that I'm like, it feeds into every area of my life. But one of the things that she talks about is that they have this fence, okay, that has these blackberry vines on it. And she's like, and she says something about, we never liked the fence, and so we won't rebuild it when it's gone. And so when it falls down, the vines will just take it over and make it part of their natural habitat. She is so like that. Like this area, like that I weeded out, and I took out, like, because I thought that's how it's supposed to look, to like weed it out and all this kind of stuff, which is so interesting because my neighbor across the street, I don't want to just walk in her front yard and like film it, but like, she has all the mulch and stuff out. I mean, not the mulch, but like she keeps it all out there. She's very of this belief that like you just keep the dead leaves and everything. Like you don't like procure your garden to make it look perfect. But I was thinking about like relaying mulch down here. And so she talks a lot about the idea of like a messy garden, which I really, to be honest with you, had not ever, I mean, I'm not into gardening, so I didn't really know that much about it. I think I want to get some more books about it. I'm real interested in it now, you know? It's not just about gardening, it's just about, I don't know, the whole concept of nature. She doesn't just talk about gardening, she talks about trees, and she talks about dead trees in the forest. This one story she's talking about, so anyway, with the fence, she talks about how the fence will fall down eventually, and then the vines will take over it, and then the fence will become part of nature, and that the vines will grow the way that they were supposed to naturally grow. I love how she talks about it, right? But she's supposed to finish this essay for her publisher that's in New York, and she's like, you know, time ticks fast in New York, but in Tennessee it goes slow, and she was like, people always ask me, like, what's your deadline on essays? And she's like, she couldn't come up with what she was wanting to talk about. So she goes and walks in this. It reminded me of when I would take my walks in Ritchie Woods, because she goes and walks in this forest, she says, this park that's by their house. But she's like, even though it looks like a forest to me, she's like, you can still, from any part in the forest, hear the cars in the street outside. Well, that was how Ritchie Woods was. And so she's talking about how there's like the trees that are fallen, that they've broke. She's talking about mushrooms in the trees that grow naturally, not like mushrooms you would eat, but like mushrooms that grow naturally, that grow in like damp areas. They break down the wood, and then when the wood breaks down, it makes like perfect nesting areas, not just for birds but for other animals, and that's where they live in the winter. And so she's walking through like in the summer, and she's seeing these animals come out, and there's this one area where it's like this violet plant that she's like been watching for like 6 months slowly grow. She's like, this is like the best soil that comes from like this tree, and like the animals know that, and like the trees that have fallen, like we would think, just take those trees away. She's like, but the fallen tree provides shelter for animals. It helps grow new soil. It's like the richest soil in the forest. This beautiful violet is growing out of this tree, and she takes a picture of it and she sends it to her publisher, and she's like, this is what I'm working on. It's just, I love her. She's so humorous, but she's so real too. I don't know, the book has just like really, really changed me. So yeah, so I read that last night, and then, like I said, Nikki and I were doing the puzzle. We'd finished that puzzle, and then I listened to Drinking a Love Story. It's weird, like, when you read a book, like, in your youth, and, like, I can remember my mom saying this about, like, Catcher in the Rye. I mean, she loved J.D. Salinger. She had read, like, I found one of his books in the basement. It's this book of short, I think it's 12 stories. I think is it 9 stories? 9 stories, I think it's what it's called. And I don't think I've read it all the way through, and I'm really into, like, every month reading a short story collection. Like I said, I'm reading Jill McCorkle's Crash Diets right now. So I think this summer, I'm going to read the J.D. Salinger 9 stories. My mom loved all of his work. But she would say to me as she got older that Catcher in the Rye about Holden Caulfield did not hit the same to her as it did when she read it when she was like in her youth. Which is very similar to me of like when I read To Kill a Mockingbird the last time, or when I read She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. It hit different. Wally Lamb's book hit differently to me because I'd gone through so much grief. Franny and Zoe, I know I had read that sometime in my youth, but I didn't really remember it. And I remember we read it for the book club before it was a true crime book club, because I can remember Mel and I talking about it. And Franny and Zoe is very, very, it's J.D. Salinger as well, very, very sad book. It's like, well, it's two like novellas together, but it's very, very sad. I didn't remember it being that sad. So it's weird how like when you read books in your youth and then they hit you different when you're older. It's also interesting that in this book, Drinking a Love Story, she talks a lot about, like, my friend so-and-so that I know from this 12-step program. You know, today, in the social media world and things like that, there's, like, it's not part of the traditions. It's not like, if I got on here and I said, you know, this is the meeting that I go to and blah, 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 there's no rule or tradition that says I can't do that. It's just out of respect, you don't do that, because I am just one person. I'm not a representative of a 12-step program. And so it's interesting, like in the book, she talks a lot about, well, when I was at my meeting and my friend so-and-so, and she says at the beginning that she changes a lot of names, but she tells a lot of personal stories in there. But she also says, like, program stuff. Like, she talks a lot about program stuff in there, which is interesting to me. It's interesting to me when people do. But at the time, she hasn't been sober for very long. So I don't know, like, if the book was written today, I don't think that she would do that. Like, it's one of the reasons why, like, people just, you know, like when people DM me, they just like assume that they know what program I go to and things like that. But it's why, like, I don't say I say 12. People ask me all the time. They're like, why do you say 12-step instead of, like, I don't, like, to my friends that are in recovery, I don't go, let's go to a 12-step meeting. I say the program that I'm in, but I'm not a representative of that program. I'm just one member of that program. And so, therefore, my story is just one of millions. And so, that's why I do that. So that piece is interesting to me, but it's also interesting her perspective of, like, her getting sober about the same time that I did. She's older than I was when she got sober, but not much older. She's only a couple years older than me when I got sober. And her perspective of meetings and meeting people and sobriety, like I said, she goes a lot into, like, family history. She's talking about, like, her dad in it. She talks about her. I don't remember a lot of this. I mean, hardly any of this book do I remember. I remember her, like, being a journalist and talking about writers. She talks about this book that I don't remember. Some other journalist writing about his sobriety and his addiction. But she talks about her dad being married before and this brother that she had. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. By the way, because I didn't know, like, you know, sometimes I like to torture myself, so I didn't know how long I'd stay out here in the cold. I did change the battery before I came out here. So I have a full battery in here right now. But anyway, cheers to a full battery. The sky is so pretty. I do notice that more, like, reading this book, The Comfort of Crows, not The Drinking a Love Story. I do notice more, like, when I'm sitting here, if, like, one lone bird comes by, like, or the sky, and I look at the tree, and the tree, like, looks different to me, and somehow, I want to put the fairy thing on the tree, the fairy door that I got, but I think about, like, the water pumping through the roots of the tree and keeping the ground underground, you know, like, moist for the animals that are living under the ground and stuff like that. I mean, I think about that because she talks about that. I mean, I'm, like, halfway through summer in the book. I'm almost to fall. And fall is the last part of the book. So, but anyway, Drinking a Love Story is good. It's a little dated. I think that... I think my mom recommended it to me, and then I read it after my mom read it. And I totally understand why my mom so related to the book. It really isn't... You know how, like, you have a memory of a book that's not really accurate? Like, I feel like in my memory of it, like, our stories were very similar. Our stories are very different. Our upbringing is kind of similar, but our stories are very different. I mean, I don't know, our stories are very, very different, but I'm enjoying listening to it. To be honest with you, I can't wait to get it done so I can listen to Dry. But it's good. It's good. If you're looking for a good recovery memoir, I think it's the place to start. I'm glad I started on these two because these are the two that were fundamental to me when I first, you know, got sober. Well, the first couple years I got sober. I don't remember when it came out. But anyway, there weren't tons of recovery memoirs when I first got sober. There weren't a lot of recovery movies. It was like... I think When a Man Loves a Woman came out after I got sober. It was like Days of Wine and Roses. Clean and Sober, I think, was already out when I got sober. That one's fantastic. I love that movie. So anyway, so then I got done with that. Well, Nikki went to sleep after the puzzle. So I sat there and I was, like, kind of looking through my phone and reading comments in the vlog. And then I listened to a little bit more of the book. And then I was like, I want to finish The Snow Girl, the first season of The Snow Girl. So last night I finished the first season of The Snow Girl. So I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I actually really liked it. I ended up really liking the first season. I kind of knew, like, so many people had told me how good it was. I knew it would kind of redeem itself. And so it's weird because I had stopped in the 4th episode and I started the 5th episode, and the 5th episode, so it's about this girl that's kidnapped, okay? That's how the whole story is. About this journalist that she's had this trauma in her past, and so she gets real invested. It's over the course of like 15 or 12 years, I think, is the telling of the story. Now, the girl's 6 at the time she's kidnapped, and then it goes and she's 12. So it's like 6 to 8 years or something like that. But anyway, so it's about the journalist's life, this Mirren, but it's also about the girl, Amaya, that goes missing, and her parents, and, like, what happens to them, and her trying, like, and this journalist tracking on this case. But at the same time, it's, like, her trauma that she experienced and all this kind of stuff, and her trying to solve that case at the same time. And so it's really interestingly done. I don't know. I just wasn't super invested in the characters up to a certain point, but I ended it on the 4th episode. And the 4th episode, like, a lot of crazy shit happens. I don't hardly ever cuss over here. A lot of crazy stuff happens. And then on the 5th episode, it's like a completely different show. It's like, I started watching it, I was like, did I miss an episode? So the 5th episode's really about the kidnapping. It is so, it ended so good. And then the very end of it, it ends on kind of like a cliffhanger for like a season 2. Very much like a James Patterson book. So I think I'm going to watch season 2. I think I might wait and watch season 2. I don't know. There are a lot of other shows that I would recommend before The Snow Girl. It's interesting, you find out at the end of the series why it's called The Snow Girl. I thought it was good. I think I'd recommend it to somebody? I'd recommend it to somebody if you've seen, like, tons of thrillers. Like, I've seen so many thrillers that, yeah, it was good. Did it hold up to, like, a Harlan Coben? Oh, I definitely think it holds up to a Harlan Coben. It's darker. It's a lot darker than that. The Harlan Coben ones, there's a little bit of cheesiness about it. But in a lot of the thrillers there are, I think I want to try something different a little bit. Like, somebody said something about the Nordic ones that are, like, in cold places. Like, that's kind of what I want to watch right now. But it was good. It just was kind of, to me, it was like, I don't know, I watched so many of them. Like, it has to really stand out for me. You know what I mean? So I would just, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably give it a 4. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was fantastic. And 4 is like, I thought the ending gave it a 4. If it wasn't for the last 2 episodes, I probably would have given it a 3. I thought it was just okay. But if you like thrillers and you haven't watched it, I would definitely recommend it. It's a good thriller to watch. I mean, it's like, and I didn't see a lot of stuff going on. I mean, when they talk about the kidnapping, like, you find out, like, what happened, and it's like, I was completely clueless. Like, there's no lead up to that whatsoever. So then what you find out is, like, the first part of the show is really about this journalist trauma. But it's good. It just isn't, like, the best one I've seen in a long time. So, yeah. I mean, some that stand out to me is, like, The Tourist, which Tanya hated The Tourist, but I love The Tourist, with that Jamie Dornan and the girl that was in, that book. Why can't I remember the book? About Willow Dean. What's the name of that book? Dumplin. She played Dumplin, and she played Willow Dean. I love The Tourist. And the Ure Murders, I loved that one. True Detective, if you've never seen True Detective, that is the show to watch. The Killing, oh my god, The Killing, which is like 4 or 5 seasons. Started at AMC, finished up on Netflix. Fantastic. If you're wanting like a winter true crime to watch, or not true crime, but a winter thriller to watch, go watch the last season of True Detective with Jodie Foster. That's the one I would start with. So then when I got done, I started watching... Oh, who's coming down? Oh, my neighbors. Backing up. I think the construction people are leaving. My ears are... Can you see how red my ears are? There's my neighbor backing out of his driveway. I think he's just doing that so they can leave. This is like this whole thing. Every day they do, and the construction guy is here doing it, because they're doing a bathroom in their house. They move their cars, and then... But the garage door was closed, so his truck is there. The construction guy, the contractor. He works in the garage. So they move their cars. Then when he leaves, they move their cars back in the garage. It's like this whole thing they have to do every day. Oh, that was the other thing, was when, in The Comfort of Crows, she was talking about, I think the chapter was called Estate Sale, actually. She did this whole chapter about an estate sale. And, she's talking about, like, estate sales that happen in her neighborhood. And, like, she's like, once, like, people... She's talking about, like, they do an estate sale, and then they come and they take down the house. Like a bulldozer takes down the house. And she's like... I love this. She's like, it doesn't really make me so sad that they take down the houses. She's like, it makes me almost more sad that they take down the trees. Which I was like, I agree, kind of. But I do love the idea of a house and a home, you know. But I thought this was so sweet. She said... She always goes to her neighbors' estate sales, you know, like after they've passed and their kids are having the estate sales or whatever. She said, he is having such a hard time with his car. He gets so frustrated because he cannot, like, get their cars both in there at the same time. He's parking on her side, though. Yeah, she parks on the right side, he parks on the left side, but he parked on her side tonight. Oh, there she is. There's my neighbor. There she is!
My gosh, what are you doing?
Alex has a meeting, so I'm out here filming in the cold. What are you doing? I know, I'm watching your husband move those cars. I can tell he's getting frustrated.
Yeah, it's cold.
He parked on your side.
What?
He parked on your side.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have a book for you.
Okay.
But I'll talk to you about it later. It's cold, you're cold. She got her mail, she got her coat on. I can't wait till summer when I get to see you all the time.
I know. How about spring?
I know spring is right around the corner. What was I talking about? I think I'm gonna buy Comfort of Crows for her. I think I'm gonna buy it for my neighbor next door. She's part of the book club in the neighborhood here. She's talking about the estate sale. So I think I'm gonna buy it for her, and I don't think my neighbor over there will like it. She likes fantasy. She reads all the fantasy. I don't think she's gonna like Comfort of Crows. She might though. She might. My neighbor next door, okay, I'll live for this. So she does this every summer. She puts these like tapestry blankets out in the backyard. And then she puts like candles on the corners, and she'll bring out like a bottle of wine. Or like, you know, fun sodas or something, and like a cheese plate. And then she'll like sit out there for like hours and just read. And she makes a little picnic out there. I live for that. Isn't that so fun? I'm always like, I want to bring out a blanket too. She's like, you should. But then whenever I want to bring a blanket, there's always like all these dogs running around out there and stuff like that. So anyway. So she's talking about this estate sale, and she's talking about like, well, not just one specific estate. Well, she does talk about one, but she's talking about when like her neighbors, she's like, isn't it funny how we become closer with some of our neighbors than we become, she says, if you're open to it and you open yourself to your neighbors. She said, some of the greatest relationships I've ever built in my life was my relationships with my neighbors, who we shared Halloweens with. And she was like, we talked in the street about what was going on in the neighborhood. And I thought, oh my God, this is so me. This is my neighbors, right? And she goes, I'm so glad that she came out here because this reminds me of this. And she's talking about the richness of relationships with neighbors. She said that witnessed your comings and goings and witnessed Halloweens and Christmases and summer. She talks about all that in there, right? And she said it always makes me sad when they're gone and they're taken to a retirement home, assisted living program, or like they've passed away. And she's like, you know, and the next thing that happens is, you know, their kids or the person that's over their estate is having an estate sale. And she's like, what's interesting is that the estate sales are always attended by people. And she talks about that have blacked out windows and these big SUVs that are coming to resell the stuff on Etsy or eBay. She's like, because she thinks it has some value. And she's like, I always go to the estate sales, but I always buy something that reminds me of my neighbor. And she talks about her one neighbor in this neighborhood that they spent like 30 Halloweens together. And she said at every Halloween, is it Halloween she's talking about? She's talking about this apron that she wears, and she can remember her always wearing this apron whenever she would see her. And she'd be like, come in for a cup of coffee. And she's like, so I bought my friend's apron. And she's like, I always buy something in the estate sales that remind me of my neighbors. I loved that, you know? I love that. I don't know if I've told this story before, but when my mom passed away, like, she talked about all these letters that she was going to leave to me. I still, to this day, this is part of the reason why I've had to go through the basement so specifically, because, for me, is because my mom said that she had left all these letters about all these things, and I haven't found any of these letters. I don't remember when it was. I may have been vlogging when it happened, but I don't think so. A year or two after my mom passed away, I got a call from an attorney's office, the one that had actually written her will, which I couldn't even find her will when she passed away. So they reached out to me and they said that they were moving offices or boxes or something, and they had found a letter that was like in her file that had like fallen out of the file that was addressed to me, like to give to me like upon her passing. Have I shared this story in here before? I feel like I have. Anyway, when I got the letter, I was like, oh my God, what is this letter going to say? I think this was after I'd found out about my grandma and stuff like that. I was like, is this letter going to expose all the secrets? I was like, what is this letter? And they're like, just come pick it up. Was I vlogging at the time that I did this happen? Because I can remember Caroline and I went there. I think it was Caroline and I went there. And so, but this was years ago. This was like, I mean, not like Cousin Fun Day. I mean, this was years ago. I don't know why I would have gone with Caroline to that. But anyway, what was I doing that? I can see myself going up to the office. Oh, Caroline's old realty office was in the same building. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. But anyway, so I went to this lawyer's office and I got this letter and I was so nervous about it. And it basically was just like what she wanted done with her things. And she even talked about like her friend Diane that passed away 3 years before she did. She had written a letter in like 1990 or something like that when I was like 18. And she talked in there about who she wanted to have like books and records of hers. Most of these people have passed away by now. But that's all it was. It's just like she wanted me to know how much she loved me, and this is what she wanted done with her belongings. I mean, the belongings that she had that weren't worth anything. She was like, I want Diane to have all of my records and this book, and I don't know, but I like that idea. I like that idea of holding on to something that meant something, you know, to like some of my mom's, I mean, my mom's been gone for 17 years, but I saved like 3 of her perfume bottles that were perfume that she wore consistently. And, like the Michael Kors for Men, I still have a bottle in my bathroom of the one that I wore. It's so watered down. It was watered down when I bought it, but it still has the scent to it. And I just saw it last night. I was like, I never wear that. I mean, it literally has like this much in it. It's like completely clear like water. It has, you know, has no hold to it whatsoever. But it was like that scent reminds me so much, you know, of my younger days that I don't want to get rid of it yet. I just, you know, I don't know. I just don't want to get rid of it yet. So I can't. But my mom, I kept like 3 bottles of her perfume that remind me of what she smells like. One of them was Michael Kors, actually, hers. And then another one I think was called Zen. I think I bought it for her. And then another one was like Chanel No. 5 or something like that she wore. But I have them in, I have a little box in the basement of like, the camera stopped. I have a little box in the basement of like my mom's jewelry, but my mom never had expensive jewelry. It's nothing that's even worth anything. Actually, when we go out to see Jessie and Fufu, after the baby is born, I'm going to give Jessie my mom's engagement ring because my mom would love that, first of all. My mom would absolutely adore Jessie. She just would love Jessie so much. This engagement ring is like, I think like I had it appraised because my mom did have quite a bit of gold, and so after she passed away, I did get some rid of this. I mean, it was just like gold chains and stuff. And I took some of the stuff to the jewelry store, and I had it like the stuff that nobody wanted because like I gave like Alex's mom. My mom had a lot of pearls, and Alex's mom likes pearls, and so I was going to give them to Caroline. Caroline didn't want them. She's like, my mom's giving me so many of her pearls, I don't want them. So Alex's mom, and I think she has all of my mom's pearls. And then I gave some other people some gold necklaces and stuff like that. But I mean, there was enough of it that nobody wanted it. So, but I remember taking the engagement ring. I think like on the thing, it said it was like appraised, like when my parents got engaged, which would have been like 65 or something like that. It was like estimated at like $312 or something like that. And so when I took it to the jeweler at that time, it was like, I don't even remember when it was. I took all that stuff there, but when I took it, it was worth like $500 or something like that. The band was cheap. It was just not worth anything. And I remember my mom had an envelope, and she said it was for me, and she wanted me to do something special with it. That would mean more to her. And so Jessie's engagement ring, she wanted something different. So Fufu proposed to her. Her engagement ring is gorgeous. I mean, it is gorgeous. It has diamonds in it and stuff too, but it's like the main stone is an emerald. And so I said to her when we were in Cancun for Alex's birthday, I said, I want to give you my mom's ring. There's been a couple people I've thought about through the years, but it just makes sense to give it to Jessie. And she's like, no, you don't have to do that. I said, no, my mom would want this. My mom would love this. She would love Jessie. There's a lot of things about Jessie that my mom just would, I mean, my mom just would have loved Jessie. Everybody loves Jessie. So anyway, but I think that would mean something to my mom. It's like when I've given her coins away for sobriety birthdays and stuff like that would have meant a lot to my mom. I've given like a lot of those coins to women in recovery. So I'm going to give that ring to her when we go out there to see her because I said, can you repurpose it into something else? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about getting like a second band when the baby's born or whatever. And I said, well, I would love, she's like, and I was going to do an emerald. And I said, just take this. She's like, would you want the ring? But I was like, no, just take the stone out. I mean, it's a small, small stone. I said, just take the stone out of it. Do whatever you want, add to it. I just want you to have it. I said, I mean, this is the thing, like with my childhood stuff, like books that I've kept, who am I going to give that stuff to? You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Carlitos and Sebastian are at the age where, like, they've outaged that stuff. Like, the books that I've kept, I mean, you know, Sebastian's 9, Carlitos is 12. They're not wanting to read Go Dog Go. You know what I mean? I don't really know who to give that stuff to anymore. I actually had talked to my neighbor next door because her grandkids she's got like, you know, 3 grandsons under the age of 5, and she's a teacher and she loves that stuff, but she has a lot of that stuff. She's like, oh no, I saved it for my kids, and so she doesn't want Peter's junk, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna give that to Jessie. Anyway, so finish the showgirl. Oh, I want to watch that with Pamela Anderson, that movie. It's only showing like exclusively like in a couple theaters or maybe one theater. I think it's at Sundance or something, but anyway. I really want to watch that movie. Jamie Lee Curtis and Pamela Anderson, the showgirl. Anyway, I finished The Snow Girl, season 1 last night. And then Caroline had told me to start watching that documentary. It's 3 parts, and it's called Update on a Family about I think Micah Stouffer is her name. She was like a mommy vlogger, family vlogger. It's interesting how it starts. So it starts with this woman that lives in Arizona. I don't really know what her part's going to be in it yet, if she's just a viewer, who she is, or I have no idea who this woman is. But she talks about how she loved, like, Micah Stouffer's videos and how she loves family vloggers. I don't really know where I'm going to finish watching it. It was kind of hard to watch, in all honesty, because there's so many people that are in this documentary that it's like they show a lot of YouTubers that I know. And like, I mean, they reference a family vlogger that I used to cover on my drama channel back in the day. And I think it's interesting that they, like, out of all the family vloggers, that I think it's interesting that they sourced that person. But I don't know, it's just kind of hard for me to watch. I was like, you know, when I watch stuff like that, and I'm like, well, that's interesting that they, like, are including this person's interview, or, you know, like, this person's, you know, like, they're sitting this person. I don't know. I just, like, it's weird to me when they, like, pick who they pick and stuff like that, you know? And true crime, too. Like, true crime, a lot of, like, true crime YouTubers will, like, pop up, and I'm like, this is interesting how they picked that person, whatever. I feel like every other week somebody's calling me and being like, oh, your friend Emily Baker was in this documentary that I watched. And I'm like, oh, the one about Erica Girardi, and then there's another one. Tanya said she saw her in Good Morning America one time. Actually, Emily Baker just messaged me the other day about something. I can't remember what it was, but I love it. I think it's great when, like, there's some commentary channels that are in this one. I was like, oh, all right, for commentary channels, getting some shout out in this documentary. I think that's great. You know what I mean? I thought that the family channels they picked, which some of them that I knew, I thought they were interesting. I was like, okay, this will be in my review. I'm going to say this in my review. Are we going to be using Nia and whatever, Sam and Nia from the Ashley Madison documentary? Will we be using them as a reference point for the family vloggers? Because I was interested in who they picked as family vlogger. That's what you know, the commentary channels that got shout outs, hey, more power to you. I didn't even know who this person was before I started watching this documentary. And then when they started talking about her, I was like, oh, I kind of do remember, like, commentary videos popping up about her. It's like Ash Trevino. I feel like I've talked in the last couple days to so many people about Ash Trevino, and I always say, can you tell me the background story on her, because I don't know anything about her. And everybody says that's covered her will say, you don't need to know anything about her, you don't want to look into her. I'm like, well, then why are you guys making all these videos about her? Now I'm interested in who Ash Trevino is. I don't know who she is, but I feel like I've in the last couple days talked to like 4 or 5 people about her. I said to Caroline, I go, do you know who Ash Trevino is? She goes, the girl with bed bugs. I go, how do you know that? She goes, it's all over TikTok. How do you not know? I go, because I don't get on the TikTok, Caroline. So I started watching that documentary last night. I got like halfway through it. I was like, you need to go to bed. Because I was supposed to have therapy today, but so I was going to get up early to film videos before therapy, but that had to be rescheduled. My therapist had to reschedule that. So I got up, and then I was like, when I got the text message, I was like, I'm just going to go back to bed for a little bit. Well, Alex, I knew, was coming home, and that he was going to come home between 5 and 5:30, and that he had to set up for his meeting. So I was like, okay, I have to have my vlog and everything done, which was one of the reasons why I was like, okay, we're going to get up early, we're going to film these videos and all this kind of stuff, which I didn't even get started filming videos till 2:30. So 2:30 to 3:30, I filmed my drama video. Then it took me like a half an hour. Then I did the Fox Hollow. It's just one thing after another. So I did my Fox Hollow review, or Fox Hollow Murders, Playground of the Serial Killer, and then I did that review, reaction, and I did the drama video. That's uploading. The TV video has to upload, and then, yeah, and then now I'm vlogging, and that's all I got done today. And I'm freezing, but it's kind of refreshing. I don't know, I can feel it in my legs even. Listen, we are like I got boots on, and I got sweatpants on today, the gray sweatpants. We are cozying it out tonight. And then tonight, I'm sure I'll take a nap at some point. Oh, you know what? I got a hair appointment early tomorrow. We got all twisted up, and okay, so we got all twisted up in confusion. So Alex was going to take me. So Alex tomorrow has like a meeting in the morning, okay? And then after the meeting, they usually, like if it's like in person, they usually go and they'll have brunch somewhere. And then he has another brunch. He's going with our friend that he hasn't seen her in a while, so he's going to meet up with her and have brunch. But she has to be done to pick up her daughter at like, I can't remember, he said 2:30 or something like that, so she can't go real long. So he said, I'll be definitely home by like 2:30 or 3. And I was like, okay, I still have to film, so I hope, he's like, I don't care, I'll just lay in bed and watch TV or something. Or lay downstairs and watch TV or wherever you want to be. So when I was texting him today, I said about the therapy session, I said we had to reschedule. Well, he thought, because he told me that he would take me to my hair appointment tomorrow, because I was like, do I need to get an Uber? Can you take me? He's like, oh no, because it'll be perfect, because I'll be done with my meeting, my Zoom meeting. He was like, I was going to go into the office, but I'll just do it here, because he's like, all my stuff's at the office. He's like, but I'll just do it here, and then I'll take you to the meeting, and then I'll take you home. And I said, because he's going to do brunch kind of close to here. And then I said, well, that's too far of a drive. He's like, no, because then I'll just drop you off and then I'll go to brunch with her. And I said, okay. Well, when I texted him today, he was in the middle of another meeting, and I was texting him about how my therapy session got canceled or got rescheduled. And so I said to him, this had to be like this. My point. I think I said, he was like, good morning. I was like, hey, good morning. He's like, how's your day going? I was like, good. I was like, I'm getting ready to make some videos. And I said, my appointment had to be rescheduled. And he was like, oh, he's like, I'm really sorry. Well, he thought I meant, because we hadn't talked about me having a therapy session today, he thought we meant my hair appointment. So then he was like talking with his girlfriends at work, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to come into the office tomorrow, have our Friday meeting in the office, and then they're going to go to brunch, and then he's going to go to the brunch afterwards, okay? So this afternoon, before he came home, he was texting me. He's like, I said, he said, so tomorrow, he goes, I'm actually going to go into the office for the meeting, and then I will, and I said, okay, so do I need to book an Uber for tomorrow? And he was like, an Uber for what? And I go, an Uber for my hair appointment. He goes, no, you said that you rescheduled that she couldn't meet with you tomorrow. And I said, no, I was talking about my therapy appointment today. He goes, what therapy appointment? And I said, I had a therapy appointment today that he had to reschedule, so we rebooked it. I said, I wasn't talking about my hair appointment. He goes, oh, I thought you were talking about your hair appointment. He was like, well, I can cancel it, and I'll just take it. I go, he goes, because I already committed that I would take you. I was like, no, babe, I can take an Uber. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. I just need to know now, because I won't stay up and then get up at the last minute. He was like, are you sure? He's like, I feel really bad about it. I was like, no, babe. I said, it's fine. I can take an Uber. I said, you can. What is this? Oh, we're getting a package. We're getting packages. Well, maybe. I don't know if it's for me or if it's for somebody else. But anyway, so tomorrow I got to get up and I got to get an Uber to my hair appointment and stuff like that. But I need it so bad because these hairs back here are getting like real long. I just need it all cut. I'm kind of like, now I'm at the point where I'm kind of like, I want to grow my hair out a little bit longer. I go through this phase where it's like, is it for my neighbor across the street or is it for me? I don't think I'm supposed to be getting anything. I think I've gotten everything. I was going to do a haul today. That was the video that I wanted to get to. Is this for me? Is that for me? Oh, it is for me. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. We got my big puffy coat. How are you doing?
Good, how about you?
You staying warm?
I'll try to.
It's freezing out here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kendall, thank you so much.
I can enjoy spring a lot more.
I know, I'm ready for the spring too. Drive safe. Stay warm. It's my Shy Wolf candle. So now I got videos for tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday hauls. Because I'm going to do a haul, PO unboxing, and now I got my Shy Wolf candles. So I'm very excited about that. Okay. Since I'm almost out of the Shy Wolf candles because I've been going through them so much. Actually, I have one right out here. Which one's this one? Portage. She's almost gone. This one, this Palm Springs candle, I've been holding on to her forever. And then, I mean, these are so cold right now. And then this one is the Our Own Candle Company Fall Triple. Fall Triple into spring. What was I saying? Okay, so tomorrow. So he feels real bad about it. And I was like, babe, oh, they got a package too across the street? Everybody's getting packages in here. I said, he was like, no, I feel really, really bad about it, blah, blah, blah. I said, babe, I'll just take an Uber. It's not that big of a deal. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. So anyway, so then that's tomorrow. And then the girl whose wedding we went to for New Year's, he's having dinner with her and another girlfriend tomorrow night. That was kind of like a last minute thing. And then Saturday, he hasn't said anything more about the club yet. So going out to the club, I have decided that Peter will not be going to the club. That's been a firm decision. I was kind of like, the other day when I talked about it in the vlog, I was kind of like, I got done vlogging, I was like, well, maybe I might want to go out to the club. And then I was like, no, I'm staying in, I'm reading, I'm going to do all that kind of stuff. That sounds so much more. But he hasn't said anything about it. So I don't know, maybe they're not going to the club anymore. They going clubbing? This is too cold to be going clubbing. It's too cold to even, like, maybe take a walk around the neighborhood. But I feel like I want to a little bit. Especially since it's dusk. It's so pretty outside. So tonight, his meeting goes on till like 8:30 or 9. And then tonight, I am going to watch some shows, read. I'd really like to finish Drinking a Love Story, but I think I have 2 hours of it left. I probably won't take a nap tonight because I'll have to get up. Okay, my hair appointment's at 9:30, which means I need to get an Uber. I'll have to order it at 9:30 to get here at 9:45. And then I'll get coffee when I go there. So if I get it at 9:30, I'll have to get up at 8:30. Baby, I don't go to bed until like 6. That is 2.5 hours. No. And I say right here, I say, no, I'm going to go to bed early. And you know I won't. You know I will be going to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, get 2.5 hours of sleep. And then tomorrow I will say on this vlog, and I'll say I didn't film any videos because I was too tired, is what I'm going to say. That I came up for my hair appointment. I decided I wasn't going to film any videos. You know, the thing is that Thursday and Fridays are not like heavily viewed days anyway. So I almost would kind of like save the energy for Saturday and Sunday. January and February have been hibernation months for me. They have been hibernation months for Peter. They just have. So I feel like I should walk a little bit. Should we walk and go down? Let's go walk. Okay. Have one last sip of this cold ass coffee. But the Crash Diet, I'm reading. I should probably finish that by the end of February, and then I got to start the next Alex Cross book too. So I'll probably start that tonight too. Listen to a little bit of the audiobook. Read some more of Comfort of Crows. I got to reach 20 books by the end of this month. I have to. Oh, and I'm also reading that graphic novel. Okay, so this is one of the things in graphic novel. She's talking about, so I told you it was about the satanic like thing that happened. So she's talking about this book that was passed around in their Sunday school when they were kids, and she was like, everybody was passing around. So of course she's talking about being fed the information that they reported when like they said that these camp counselors were all like Satanists that were abusing these kids and stuff like that. But she said like the parents passed around this book in Sunday school. I don't know how this book, and a bunch of 5 and 7-year-olds were reading it in Sunday school, but it was called Michelle Remembers. And so I was like, is this a made up book? I don't feel like I've ever heard of it, but it kind of feels reminiscent to me of like, have I heard of this book? Have I not? So I Google searched it last night. It's a real book. It's a debunked book that a Canadian psychiatrist, okay, worked with this woman that said that she was like, had been in this abused by these Satanists in the satanic cult that came out like in the 70s or something like that, or the 80s. And it was apparently debunked. It was all fake, but it's called Michelle Remembers. I was going to buy it and read it and review it for my BookTube channel. The cheapest version of it from Half Price Books online is $40. But then I was like, a lot of hardbacks back in the day were like $30, $20, $30, weren't they like $30? So I was like, maybe that's an investment I'm willing to make, but you can't get it on Audible or anywhere. There's like versions on eBay that are like $1,000 of this book, Michelle Remembers. Has anybody ever heard of that book? If I've heard of it, it's like a distant memory. I don't remember it. But I'm telling you right now, I got to go walk now or I'm going to freeze. And the battery just went to the halfway mark. This is a new battery, too. How is that even possible? Ah! Okay. You guys ready to go out into the cold? I can already tell. See, I get right here, and then it starts getting really, really cold. And I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this walk. Here we go a-walking. What is the song? Here we go a-wassailing. Okay. Is the moon out yet? Can you see the moon? I can't see the moon. Ooh, will we make it to the lake? I don't know. It's very cold. Hibernation talks. That's what we're going to call this one today. I'm just wanting to go see the lake. I just want to see if it's frozen. We're going to go and see if it's frozen. And then, you know what I did not think about is that maybe I should have brought my mittens to hold this treadmill tripod. Because it is so cold, it's like holding onto an ice stick. Whoo! Should we check the pool too? I can't believe it's going to be in the 50s next week. Well, they say that, and then they'll be like, Max Velocity and Ryan Hall will say, biggest winter storm ever coming. And then we'll know it's true. We did get a little bit of snow last night, like just a dusting, but then, like you can see, let me show you, it's like the streets melted and stuff. Whew. So, still is very pretty though, isn't it? Winter in Indiana. I was telling Nikki last night, I said, when I start complaining next year about how we didn't get any snow, I said, remind me that we actually got a lot of snow this year. We got more snow this year than we usually do. Those lights remind me of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Okay, there's the pool. Oh, it looks like we got a new pool cover. That pool cover looks new. Wonder how much that cost us. I don't remember that being in the HOA newsletter. What happened to the old pool cover? the last rays of sunshine going down. So pretty, isn't it? You know what? I want to get a thumbnail with me. Hold on a second. With that behind me. Hibernation talks. Whoo! This coat is warm though. It's just kind of unrealistic to wear anywhere because, I don't know if you can see, but it's like so puffy. Look at how pretty it is. Oh, see, I should have brought some food for the ducks. There's ducks out there. Hi, ducks. How is that water not freezing on them? Oh, look at all the little paw prints. I miss Boo Radley. He loved to run around the snow. Do you know what she talks about in her book? Is that turtles and frogs, that underneath the lake, they sleep through the winter and they hibernate in like the deep mud. And the tadpoles and stuff like that. See, it's actually darker than it's showing. Oh, that looks pretty, doesn't it? I want a good thumbnail. Anyway, okay. Too cold. That's why it's all about the walking pad. It's all about the walking pad. Next winter, I'll be going on walks with our new little dog. Hopefully. Look, there's little paw prints all over where somebody went for a little walk. It's probably my neighbor and his dog. He takes his dog for so many walks. The fading sun. The sun is fading. It's beautiful, isn't it? All right, well, I'm gonna get off here now and get this vlog up, get my other videos up, and I am going to relax for the night. Do you hear the geese? Oh, there's the geese flying, look. I love that. All right, it's so quiet out here. She talks about that in her book, just like listening to the sounds of nature and what you notice. Like a leaf falling in the woods or a little animal walking in the snow. Or the geese. All right, well, I'm gonna get off here now because this is freezing to hold on to. I hope you guys are having a magically amazing Thursday, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.